Hey yo, you're tuning in to another episode for season number 2 of the Make Mondays Interesting podcast. I'm your host, Denzel Gaga. This is a God-given talent production. And as always, we are brought to you by our family business, Familiar Accountants. Financial solutions for you and your family. Now, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you're probably wondering, where the heck are Denzel and Michelle? That is a very good question. Currently, we are on the road. Well, not literally, we're not on the road right now. We're stationed, but we are on a family holiday, traveling through Queensland. And right now we are in North Queensland, or the very wet North Queensland, specifically Townsville, Mum's brother's house. And we do have an audience to the right of us. So do you want to give us a bit of a hello?
Hello everyone, Mexican way. Woo!
No one could see it, but you could hear it. Yeah. So Mum, how are you going? Are you enjoying this family holiday through Queensland?
I have enjoyed myself immensely. It's been great. It's been great to relax with you guys and have a bit of bonding time with you all.
Yeah. Holidays are a very good time, and yeah, you're right. I think it's our first holiday that I've been a mature adult and Carly's been a mature adult. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot different to all the family holidays we've had in the past. So it's on a whole new level, and all of this is documented, unlike the other ones.
Yeah, sure.
So what I was going to ask, the question I want to ask and the topic I want to have about this on this particular episode is, what have you learnt from this trip so far? Now, there's two parts to that question, and I'll answer it too, but I want you to answer it first. So breaking it down, first part, what have you learnt in terms of the family unit from this trip? Mm-hmm. And then secondly, what have you learnt about the country that we've just travelled, the land that we live in?
Okay.
So either or, how you want to answer it, which one first, but go. And I'll give you the mic to hold.
Oh, okay, no worries. I think the part I've learnt about the family aspect is, and this is travelling with adults now rather than travelling with kids, is that it's really important to compromise and listen to each other. And yes, we can all have our own family reactions towards each other. So patience and everything in love is really important. I think that would be something I have learnt of this trip. In terms of what I've learnt about the country, you know what? I've always listened to people who travel and, take the road journey. And I don't know that I appreciated the road journey as much as I have appreciated this road journey. I've appreciated just sitting and looking and observing and taking in the colours of the country for a start, taking in the different textures of what we get to see in terms of, there's different trees in different sections, and that was really quite eye-opening in the sense of, what do you see in this section of the country type of thing. And then the crops that get grown. I love watching and going past farms and things like that, seeing cattle on the side of the road. I love the aspect of seeing different sized towns and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I've really appreciated learning more about that Queensland coast because I've never fully driven it before. So it was really appreciative.
What's been the highlight of the trip? So you're talking about, now you're having more of appreciation for the road journey, but what particular spot that we've visited stood out for you? Mm-hmm. And then explain a bit more in more detail why.
Okay. I hate to say it's probably the over-commercialisation of it, but I really have appreciated Whitehaven. Something that I've always wanted to go to, someplace... Yep.
Right. For the international viewers, you've got to explain where Whitehaven is.
Okay, sure. So Whitehaven is accessible off a place called Airlie Beach, which we stayed at. I believe it's accessible off quite a number of little islands. It's off the Whitsunday Island. It's a beach that is known as so magical. It's amazing. And I always wanted to see it because, when you look at it in the brochures and you see how magnificent it is, I wanted to see that concept for myself in real life. So yes, that's been the absolute highlight of actually seeing where the freshwater and the seawater meet, and the concept of what's going on in nature there. The colours were just amazing. Even, I don't know, they were just amazing to see. I tried to capture them on my iPhone as such, didn't quite capture it in the essence, but it will last with me for many years to come. That's been an outstanding highlight. Other than that, I think, as I said, just the aspect of the different fauna coming up has been amazing. I've really appreciated that. So yeah, it sounds like, a bit bland, but I love seeing now and appreciate the difference in the I said the different trees. There was I can't think of the name of the trees from the Sunshine Coast, then through the gum trees, and then through to just different kinds of trees growing at any different point. It's really amazing.
So if you're watching the video version of this podcast, we do have footage because, like I said earlier, we have been documenting everything of this trip. So there'll be footage of that, what Whitehaven looks like, and just to add to that, pictures and video just doesn't do it justice of what you see. And my big thing is, we can document it as much as we want. We can do as much as we want to show you what it looks like and give you that experience. But unless you're there yourself, you'll never get the full experience. You have to be there yourself to see it, to witness it, to feel the sand running through your fingers, the sand running through your toes as you walk, and seeing the colors for yourself, and to being in that water yourself, and to have that hike yourself. I'm saying yourself a lot, but you have to do it yourself. You have to experience it yourself. And you're right in terms of seeing different trees. And, I said to you the other day when we were in the car, when it was just you and I that got away from Carly and Dad, when we went to Shute Harbour in near Airlie, just across from Airlie, to see the sunrise. And I was saying you in the car, what's so cool about looking into those mountains on the coast is that each tree is not the same, and that if you were to paint that, you can't just paint every tree to be the same. There's so much detail in every particular tree of that mountain. And growing up on the Gold Coast, growing up in a predominantly commercialized, buildings everywhere city, you do miss out on that. You can take that for granted, to see that beauty in something so simple like just trees being so different and unique. So I'm just adding to what you said there and everything. Okay, you talked more about the coast, but we did visit a few inland places. So what's some inland... Ooh, what's that bit of background noise? I wonder if that caught in the audio. Hey, we are in Townsville. Anything can happen, and because it's the Make Mondays Interesting show or podcast, whatever you want to call it, anything can happen. Anything interesting can happen unexpectedly. But just to go back to what I was talking about or asking, what's some inland places that you enjoyed?
That's hard to remember because the coastline is so magical. I think, I remember. We were coming back from Gladstone and looking back up to the mountain ranges. And do you recall seeing that mountain range that looked like a person laying down?
Yeah. Yeah.
I still don't know what that mountain range was. I have to explore it a little bit more. But the concept of seeing that mountain range and the formation of what looked like a person, and obviously that would have I'd imagine, an Aboriginal significance to that people in that area. And that was, that Dreamtime sort of situation. That was amazing. I was really happy that I saw that. So just being able to see the different mountain formations has been great.
We got some people rocking up right now. But hey, anything can happen. I don't care if there's background noises, because then it creates this suspense in the audience. What's going on in the background there? What's happening? Where are they? We are in a jungle feel in a way. More families rocking up. So the audience is growing. Okay, live audience, how are we going? Are we still enjoying it so far? That's good. All right, we won't take this podcast for much longer. I really wanted this episode to be a very short episode because there's not much to talk about in this particular topic. But in terms of what I've learnt so far from this trip, I'll talk about the landscape one. I kind of already mentioned it in the sense that, there's so much detail in every single thing that, you just have to stop and appreciate what you're seeing, and I'm definitely putting it on my list to come visit once again. Come do that drive from Gold Coast to North Queensland, whether it means stopping at Townsville and visiting these guys, or going past Townsville as well and going up to Cairns. I think there's so much to see within Queensland. And before this particular trip, anyone that's talked about the drive between here in Townsville or here in Cairns has always said there's nothing to see. It's always just bland. And I'm kind of looking over here because I think that's the people that normally say it when they do the main drive. But I have to disagree because I appreciated so much of what I saw on that road. Even though some people might not see, it's not much there. It's just grass. It's just mountains. It's just trees. It's just rocks. It's like there's so much detail. You won't be able to see that landscape anywhere else. You won't see that landscape in Victoria. And you definitely won't see that landscape in Europe. That landscape is unique. It does mean you just have to, just sit and look and reflect and learn to appreciate. But I definitely appreciated what I saw on that road. And if I'm to redo this trip all over again, because we did have such a short time, just 1 week, and really if I was the one driving behind the wheel, I'd be stopping so much more frequently to document, to look, to appreciate. Even when we were stopped at a servo, just sitting outside the car, the servo was in Whoop Whoop, middle of nowhere. And it was just silent. Everything was silent. That peace, that quiet that I sometimes get out in the surf, but I definitely don't get it out living on the coast, on the Gold Coast. So that's something I've learned, just that appreciation to stop, to realize where you are. And yeah, like I said, if you're watching the video version, all sorts of clips will be playing on top of the shot.
Getting the wind up. All
right, we're getting the wind up on the background. We'll finish soon, but I'm getting a lot of shots of what we've seen, what we've done, and how we've coped, which has comes to my other lesson that I've learned, is that each one of us in the family have different preferences of what we appreciate in a trip or what we like to do in a journey or on a holiday. So I now have more of an appreciation for when I did travel alone on my own, because it meant I can just do everything on my own and travel where I want to do and do it in my own timing. So I definitely have more appreciation for that. But there's, that I realized that a lot of that conflict in families comes from different preferences. And so once you realize that it's just different preferences and not just because we all dislike each other, then it's more like, okay, I'm not going to like my family all the time, but I need to learn to love my family because we're just all different. Yes, we're the same family unit, but each member of the family have different wants and desires for their life or different preferences of how they would want to do a particular thing. So I'm learning that, and I'm realizing that, hey, we're not going to always like our family, but I definitely still love my family. So, and I guess that's important. That ties it up with Pamelia Accountants. There's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be times when you don't like your family, but we encourage you, love your family. There's always going to be financial problems, but still continue to love your family in those situations. That's the whole Pamelia motto, our thing of healthy, thriving families. We say that statement, that mention statement, financial solutions for you and your family, so that your family may be healthy and thriving. But our tip for you from our lesson learnt from this trip is that you won't always like your family, but definitely love your family. So I guess that's a good way to end it. I also must add that we did try filming this particular episode on the road. To know the story behind how that went, go check out the Denzel Gaga YouTube channel. So that's my YouTube channel. Links for that is in the description to see how we've been coping on the road, as well as watching all the other vlogs, the full versions of our trip to the Whitsundays, Ellie Beach, Bowen, seeing the Big Mango, our road trip and how we've coped through that with Gladstone and whatnot. So go check that out if you want to see more of this trip in a more candid way. But I'm your host, Denzel Gaga. This has been a God-Given Talent production. I've been joined with
Michelle.
My mum, Michelle Gaga. And this has been brought to you by Premier Accountants, financial solutions for you and your family. Thank you so much for watching. Make Mondays interesting. Go give it a like, share, a subscribe, do whatever, engage with it so that more and more people may have their Mondays made more interesting. So thank you so much, and goodbye from the very wet North Queensland.
We good? Yeah. This episode of Make Mondays Interesting was filmed before a live audience at the Peat residence. Now, for safety, if for those watching in the car, you put your seatbelt on like this. In the case of an emergency, no oxygen's going to drop from the ceiling because we're not that good. Okay? And if you need to get out, exits are over there behind you. Over that way. Good luck getting past the dogs. I'm out.
Yes!
Oh, that's got it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. That is